We're ready to begin when you guys are. It's 6:29, so just in about a minute.
Just making sure you're on. All right, good evening. It's 6:30 on July 9th. I'd like to call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Bruce, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful. Can we have a roll call, please?
You. Vice Chair Matthew Johnston,
Here.
Commissioner Clark Kramer,
Here.
Commissioner Sean Colvin, Commissioner Bruce Martin,
Here.
Commissioner Rich Wyack,
Here.
Commissioner Mark McCamish,
Present.
and for the record, Chair John Corneau and Commissioners Gerald Abramson and Steve Tannehill have been excused from this meeting, but you do have a quorum with 6 commissioners.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Just regarding the agenda, are there any changes to the agenda or anything to note?
Chair, there are no changes or adjustments to the agenda.
Thank you, sir. And can we have approval and review of the minutes of our May 7th meeting? Full packet, pages 8 through 16. We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And a second. Okay. Call for a vote.
Vice Chair Matthew Johnston,
Yay.
Commissioner Clark Kramer,
Yes.
Commissioner Sean Colvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Bruce Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Rich Wyack,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark McCamish.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously 6-0.
Okay, thank you. And public comments.
Yes, I will go ahead and read a prompt to members of the public. To members of the public who wish to address the commission authorities tonight, apologies to who wish to address the commission tonight with live public comments on any agenda item, please visit airports.venturacounty.gov/meeting-calendar for participation instructions, streaming links, meeting IDs, and passcodes. In-person speakers will be called upon first, followed by remote participants. Speakers will be called to speak after the agenda item is presented. For in-person public comment, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the secretary before the end of the public comment period. For remote participants via Zoom or telephone, please accept the prompt to be promoted to speaker and unmute your mic when it is your turn to speak. The general public comment period for non-agenda items is limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless the time allotment is increased or decreased by the chair depending on the number of speakers. For public comments related to an agenda item, members of the public are allotted 3 minutes per speaker per listed agenda item at a single meeting unless the time allotment is increased or decreased by the chair depending on the number of speakers. Please use your allotted time accordingly. And there are no speaker cards submitted at this time and no online participants.
Okay, thank you. So regular agenda item A, we first have up, it looks like representatives from the Wings Over Camarillo. So welcome to the podium, Bob.
Good evening, Vice Chair Johnston and Airport Commissioners. My name is Bob Trimborn. I'm Director of Operations for the Wings Over Camarillo Air Show. I'm here tonight to invite you and the public to our event. It's coming up on the 16th and 17th of August. This is our 44th year that we're putting on this event. It's one of the largest singular events in the county of Ventura. and we attract a significant crowd. We get between 15 and 20,000 people a year that attend the event. It highlights the history of aviation and the role that Camarillo Airport plays within the general aviation world. We have great World War II aircraft, experimental aircraft, GA aircraft and the like, with many flybys. I'm here tonight with Bill Thomas. He's our air boss. He's the man that basically is the heart and soul behind the Wings Over Camarillo Air Show, and really couldn't do the event without Bill's leadership. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Bill for a brief presentation. But I would like to say that this year we're honoring the community responders to the mountain fire. And so we'll have many honorary chairmen of the event. Again, we're honoring those people that really came out and helped respond to that fire. And with that, Mr. Thomas.
Presentation. Gentlemen, the Camarillo Air Show this year will be the 44th. We had one missing year during COVID. Otherwise, it's been annually since 1980. The reason that I show this is that most of those airplanes we will have at this year's air show. The C-17's been gone for a couple of years, and their plan is to be there. Just as a side note, they were all loaded up and ready to come when they were told to get off the airplane because the airplane was going to go to Kabul to do the evacuation of Afghanistan. So that's the last time they were here. So Bob talked about the Camarillo Wings Association, but we are a 501c3, which is critical. And all of our volunteers are pretty much local. We've got somewhat around 400 volunteers are required to run an air show for the weekend. So all of our key organizations with the CAF, the EAA, Ventura County, and very important is the Department of Airports here. Without those four organizations, we couldn't do the air show. We're there to promote aviation. It's our pay forward. We're trying to get the young folks involved and make sure that they understand how critical aviation is to themselves and ourselves, but also to make sure that they understand that the airport is a critical community asset. So we work really hard to make sure that we show the locals how important Camarillo and Oxnard are to the Ventura County. Since 2010, we've donated any money that we have extra from paying for our acts and paying for gas and hotels and all that, and making sure that we have enough money to run an air show the next year. All the rest of that money goes to the nonprofits, the 501c3s that support the air show. So 750,000 so far since 2010. This year we're going to go back and have we haven't been able to jump the U.S. flag for several years. This year we're going to have the U.S. flag, as you see in the picture, be jumped by the Skydive Coastal California, that said they are so appreciative to the Department of Airports and the community for helping them set up in Oxnard that they are coming on their own dime to do this. Our demographics, we pretty much are Ventura County. Probably if you drew a 50-mile circle around this area, that's where our audience is. We get some that are really hardcore air show folks that'll come from Kern County and LA and further, but to be honest, most of our folks all come from Ventura County and Santa Barbara and in the west side of Los Angeles. Gates will open at 9, close at 6, and our flying starts at noon and is over at 5 every day. So we're going to have a lot of air shows have 7 or 8 acts at the most, and there are usually 2, 3 airplanes unless it's the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds. This air show is really different. We'll probably have about 50 airplanes flying during the course of the show. We'll have 3 different parachute teams that are involved. We'll have the commemorative Air Force, Palm Springs and Planes of Fame, all bringing vintage World War II airplanes. And we'll have, again, a real collection of both EAA experimentals and early trainers from the full spectrum from World War II on. Bob and his group will also have the classic car show, somewhere around 150 to 200 cars each day. And when we go out and pick up the parachutists in the middle of the show, we'll do a car parade to take up some time. We already mentioned the fact that we're celebrating and honoring the community responders. In the past, like for the Thomas Fire, we did first responders, which did a good job honoring the fire and the police part of the equation. But we saw that at the mountain fire, it took the entire community to pitch in, and that included the Department of Airports, it included the Red Cross, a lot of the county agencies. And so we felt that it was important to recognize the entire community responders and not just the first responders. Our STEM is getting the reputation that's really high rated. We've got folks coming from test pilot school at Edwards that'll be in the STEM. A new addition that I'll show you in a picture of in a minute. We'll also have Tori Ward in his microjet and the robotics and the competition that have been famous for that starting to get a lot of attention. Highliners, one of my favorite performers, Vicky Benzing, is not going to be here this year, but we're going to have Anna Serbenko with a super decathlon in her stead, and John Culliver, who's been here many times. Red Bull, again, is probably one of the premier aerobatic, is one of the few helicopter aerobatics that is certified in the US, and he lives here. So it's really a pleasure to have Red Bull. We'll have the pyro, which is ground pyro only. Jason with his MiG-17. Judy Phelps from Santa Paula, one of the instructors of the year a couple years ago. Sammy Mason will be flying a Stearman this year. Dawn Patrol. Interesting, last year we had Sailplane Magic, and as a glider did the entire act. That's about 7 minutes of energy management. It was really well received. And then this year, we've got Pivotal electric vehicle, and there's going to be a 2-plane Pivotal flight. In addition, the third Pivotal will be in the STEM Pavilion, along with a virtual reality set of goggles and a simulator for the kids to play with and learn from in the STEM area. Fighters, these will all be here as long as they, with airplanes, you never can absolutely guarantee it, but they're all scheduled. D-Day Doll is going to have 2 different drops. They'll be dropping the wings of the Wings of Blue and the Coastal Skydive Coastal California for the opening, and then they'll have the round parachute jumpers that look like 82nd or 101st Airborne during the European scenario. C-130 will be here, hopefully an E2. I don't know about the Marines. I'm working on an Osprey or the Yankee Zulu, so we'll see. Got at least 4 World War II veterans that'll be here in the veterans hangar. Our pyro. By the way, for the pyro, for just information, in order to do the pyro, we worked first with the animal shelter, then with the city of Camarillo, and both of them were very skeptical. And we worked so that we check line of sights, we place it so that they're all ground-based detonations, and we had hangars in between the detonation and the animal shelter. And the folks at the animal shelter say that the least of their problems is their pyro. The F-18s are not so easy. The classic car parade. We really are pushing to make sure that the young kids get a chance to see not only the airplanes, but the folks who fly them. And then we'll finish off with the Condors flying the missing man. We've had a couple of folks that we're going to be recognizing in the missing man, unfortunately. Anybody have any questions? What was the time?
10:30.
10 minutes and 30 seconds?
Yeah,
Really?
3 minutes over. We're about tomorrow. We're good.
Did you count his?
We just expected it. We built it into the agenda. We knew.
Anybody have any questions?
No questions for me. It looks great. Looks fabulous.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks. I've been privileged to be part of the group that puts on the show, and I'm active in some regards with some responsibilities, but I just want to give credit to all the volunteers. It's a volunteer organization, and I don't think people recognize how much effort goes in and how much this brings to the community, and kind of supports the aviation community and a lot of the goodwill, and not only what you're contributing monetarily, but just overall, thank you for all the volunteers and all the time you guys put into it.
One of the side notes is we have a emergency responder tabletop planning that'll probably happen on the 31st of July this year. And we started this probably before 2010, and it was really one of the first large scale tabletops in the air show industry. And you can see the value of when the feds and the county and the local fire, police, first responders all get together and sit down. We've always ended up with everybody learning a bunch of things at the tabletop. So it's not seen by the public, but it's very important as far as overall.
Thank you very much. So next up, we have staff updates on
Vice Chair.
communication and, oh,
There are no public comments on that item.
and we prepped for that too. So thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening to you all. My name is Jeanette Haregi. I'm the Communications and Engagement Manager and Public Information Officer for the Department of Airports. I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to conduct nearly 2 years worth of interviews to produce a series of stories highlighting the phenomenal work that comes out of Camarillo and Oxnard airports. It's been a project targeted at educating the community about the value of the airports. And I'm extremely lucky because I've learned a lot in the process that I didn't know. And tonight I'm eager to share what is now the 14th story in the series about locally based jets flying life-saving missions. A car accident on a remote highway claims the life of an otherwise healthy person who just happened to select the donor option in the driver's license renewal. An entire medical crew is now in a race against time to not only honor the patient's selfless act, but safely remove and preserve the remaining healthy organs. A separate medical team is working to check a registry of patients awaiting an organ transplant. An incredible amount of coordination ensues that leads to a match, then a call to local charter jet operators to determine availability. From there, a team of medical professionals heads to an airport where they board a charter jet bound for another city, county, and sometimes even another state. The entire process generally happens in less than 2 hours. All the while, one family mourns a loss, another celebrates a second chance. Even if you don't know the outcome, you know you're part of something really significant in someone's life, said Susan Jacobs, Vice President of Operations for Diamond Aviation, a fixed base operator or FBO located at Camarillo Airport. Jacobs, her colleague Austin Carmichael, Director of Operations and CEO of Diamond Aviation, and their team join a select group of locally based FBOs like Air 7 in staying connected to medical companies that facilitate what are known as med flights. Air 7 operates several air ambulances, which can transport patients. Med flight missions for organ transport often include 2 aircraft, not always from the same operator. One aircraft will take doctors who specialize in organ removal to where the donor is, while the second aircraft delivers the organ to the recipient. Sometimes it's only a box with an organ and no medical team, said Carmichael. Other times, like with a heart, the flight includes doctors or nurses monitoring machines that keep oxygen flowing. The jet operators also have to account for hot standbys, where crews wait overnight to confirm that the recipient is in fact a match. Most operations occur in the middle of the night, said Carmichael. You can get these urgent missions done quicker when things aren't congested. It's easier to get more direct connections and shortcuts flying late at night. And with a mission this delicate, every minute counts. Diamond Aviation alone conducts about 2 to 3 med flight missions a month. Those missions join an array of other life-saving flights made possible because of Camarillo and Oxnard airports. The mountain, ocean, and medical responses by the Ventura County Aviation Unit and the Angel Flight missions by volunteer general aviation pilots are only a couple of examples. Additionally, Helinet, which is based at Van Nuys Airport, often utilizes Camarillo Airport to pick up patients or refuel for missions for Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. We are using the tools we have to save lives, said Carmichael. At the end of the mission, we know we've been part of something good. And what you're seeing now is a slide of photos, thanks to Diamond Aviation, for these photos. And then the next slide I'd like to share with you is actually a picture that I just took today. I was very fortunate to be part of a tour of Camarillo Airport. These are county summer interns for the County of Ventura. They're high schoolers. They're actually two photos. The group was 15, so they didn't all fit in the plane at once. But this is one of the Air 7's air ambulances. And so I talked to the group ahead of time, the start of the tour, about some of the med flights that happen out of Camarillo and Oxnard airports. And so it was nice for them to be able to have the opportunity to go inside one of these jets. Thank you all.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments from the public? Commissioners? Okay, next agenda item. We have a staff report, Federal Aviation Administration grant assurances.
So I thought it important, talked with the chair several weeks ago as we were developing the agenda. We use the term we have over the last several years about grant assurances when we are trying to do something or saying we're not able to do something. We talk about these grant assurances. So I wanted to dive into what that really means. So I've got a few slides that I'll throw out, but the high level of this is typically on an annual, every other 2-3 years, we're taking federal grants to help us with capital projects. We, over the last 4 years, have accepted about $39 million to redo the runways, the parallel taxiways, the connectors at Oxnard Airport. That pavement now is brand new, if you will, and should last us for 40 years. So those kinds of projects, we've got a new beacon going in, more pavement work to do here at Camarillo. Each time we take a grant, whether it's $10 million or $1, there are grant assurances, the dollar, that's the exchange of things we will agree to do. So I thought with this presentation, we would kind of go through, oops, sorry. Fast. Kind of go through, what are grant assurances and what are the grant funding? You've heard us talk about our annual airport improvement, ACIP. So the federal program for airports, airport improvement program, is much like the federal highway. There's dollars when you buy gas that go into the federal highway system. So on the left side, you see the dollars in billions that are collected for the federal highway to make improvements on roadways. Well, the same thing happens, you've heard me talk about this with the AIP projects. When you buy an airline ticket, a percentage of that, the fuel that those airlines and small airplanes buy, percentage of those go all into the program, the aviation program, the aviation trust fund to do capital projects. Again, not at the same scale as the federal highway, but in the neighborhood, at least in the last few years, almost $5 billion are going into the system specifically for improvements, capital improvement projects. All told, collected, it's closer to 16, 17 billion, but that pays for air traffic controllers, the maintenance of the system, those kinds of things in aviation. But in the capital improvement side, about 4.7 billion, at least last in 2024, was available for airports across the country to make improvements. Grant assurance, again, I won't read through all of this, but it is a sponsor, us in the case is the county, agreeing to do certain things in exchange for those dollars to help us make improvements at our two airports. We submit a grant. Ultimately, you'll see that even come to the AAC, to the airport authority, then onto the board to allow us to execute and accept those grant dollars. Here, so there are 40 now grant assurances. I won't go through all of them. It's 19 pages. It's in your packet if you want to fall asleep one night and read through all of those. But some of the highlights, are the general federal requirements, establishes the purpose and the foundation of obligations. Number 8, consultation with users. When we're doing things, new development, you saw what we've done with our airport layout plan improvement, our noise mitigation of Part 150 study. Most of what we do has consultation with users. Even this meeting is a part of meeting that requirement. Obviously, our tenants, our businesses can come to these meetings, have comment, have input, exchange information. Pavement maintenance management, because they give us significant dollars to improve our pavements, they want us to actually have a plan to maintain those, to get the full length out of those pavements. Operations and maintenance, ensure that we operate a safe, available airport for everybody in FAA's uses. Operations and maintenance, compatible land uses. They want us to do our best to work with local cities or surrounding us, that though they're not putting high density residential homes right off the ends of our runways. Obviously that happens in many communities, but they want us to try to work to prevent that at all possible. Exclusive rights. They don't want us giving a sweetheart deal to somebody we like and we've worked with before. That usually can happen in rural communities. We see a lot of that. Airport revenues. Here's a big one. Revenue diversion back in the 80s, LAX, and I only use them because they were in the court case. They would collect tens, hundreds of millions of dollars of FAA grant money and then send revenues out of their coffers into the local city, into LA. Can't do that. Revenue diversion. Feds give us money to improve our airports. That means all of the monies we generate here at our airport have to stay within the system to support our two airports. And the last one that they just added recently was access to leaded fuel. For those pilots familiar with what's happened up in Santa Clara County, Reed Hillview specifically, they decided they didn't want to sell leaded fuel anymore. Various political reasons. I won't go into those. But the FAA said, okay, no more of that. If you've sold fuel like that in the past, you can't change until a new unleaded fuel is available for retail market, which was at this point expected in 2030. So those are the kind of grant assurances. So when folks, over the years, examples, we've heard, hey, let's institute new noise restrictions. Grant assurances buried in all of this is, operations. We're supposed to keep them open and available. We can't just decide, hey, we're going to close at 8 p.m. Until 6 a.m. because we don't want noise to impact our community. Grant assurances won't let us do that. We've had folks suggest we no longer sell leaded fuel because there is an alternate available, not commercially available yet, but we can't do that, because of grant assurances. Those kinds of things. So, I don't know if I have anything left. That is it. That's what I have. So if there's any questions about that, again, grant assurance is tied to the federal grants we take on a regular basis. Oh, one other big important. The second we sign on the dotted line, buried in all of that is also the agreement that we will keep that airport that you just took $1 or 10 million for, doesn't matter, open for 20 years. So it kind of keeps it. And, I've heard community members say, oh, we'll just pay back the money the federal government, it specifically says, we don't want your money. You've agreed to keep the airport open for 20 years. It will stay open for 20 years. So there's this misconception I've heard sometimes that folks, hey, we'll just pay back the money we owe, prorated. Or no, the federal government just wants the airports open as part of the national system. And that's part of the agreement that you'll keep the airport. The minute you take $1, that clock restarts. Every year we sign for a new grant, it's a new 20-year clock. So,
Great.
Any specific questions that I can answer? Clarity?
Do we have any questions from the public?
There are no public comments. Thank you.
Just the number of grants that you're pursuing, for example, this year.
Well, I couldn't tell you exactly this year. One off the top of my head, it's a fairly large one we've been talking about. You did see through this commission, our 5-year plan, and there's probably off the top of my head, about 40 projects over the next 5 years to the tune of $115 million of what we would like to ask for over that period of time. The one that's bouncing around right now is to redo the Camarillo Airport. That's our number one priority right now. We're in the middle of a beacon replacement. That's in the tune of $400,000 that we're kind of in the middle of. But the one that's on the horizon we're negotiating right now for is runway replacement here at Camarillo. That's somewhere in the range of 35 to 50 million is what we'll need just to replace the runway, not the connectors and not the parallel, just the runway itself. So it's a pretty big project.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions, thank you very much for that report. And we'll move on to item D.
Good evening, advisory commissioners. My name is Madeline Hurley. I'm the lease manager for the Department of Airports. I've got 2 items for you tonight that are related. They deal with the fire agency. The first one is a little bit out of sequence. It's the request for the termination of the fire department headquarters lease. Can I have the site plan? So the fire headquarters is the yellow parcels that you'll see on that site plan. There's a parking lot and the headquarters parcel. The fire department purchased a new building in Thousand Oaks and has asked us to cancel their lease which doesn't expire for just under 8 years. So we have a proposed agreement with the CEO's office to pick up that obligation to the Department of Airports for the remaining term. And they'll use the facility for a variety of other programs and facilities for other agencies and departments. So the agreement for the termination is contingent upon an agreement with the CEO's office. So this is a contingent proposal for you to approve the termination. The second item, I'll just go through them both because I think you have to vote on them separately, but the second item has to do with the other fire department lease, which is for the FCC building. You can keep the site plan up. Those are the green parcels. That's the communications center. And you'll note parcel 2 at the top is a parking lot. The fire department wishes to shed that parcel 2 as part of their continuing lease obligation and combine it with the fire HQ parcel so that the CEO's office will be picking up that obligation as well. It provides some additional good parking for that facility. So it's a positive move. So there's 2 different agreements to look at. The first one has the termination and the second one is the removal of the FCC parcel parking lot parcel 2.
So let's deal with the one item D, that's the termination first. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Okay. Are there any comments or not? When you receive a motion from the commission?
It's a contingent component. You have a reasonable understanding from the CEO that they will cover, or is that still in negotiations?
It's not, I don't believe it's negotiation. It's, I think it's a timing issue, but
Okay.
certainly we can't do one without the other. So
Remind me, what's the financial impact?
it's a loss from the headquarters obligation of $401,000 annually. So the CEO's office would have to pick that up and then be compensated by the programs that they put in there. And the FCC it's fairly minor. It's a difference of about $36,000.
I make a motion to approve McCamish.
I just have one more quick question
Sure.
before that, and that is, so just so I'm clear, so from the airport's perspective, there's no, this is being covered 100%, right? So
Correct.
at that point, so there's really no impact other than you have one less tenant.
Right. There's a substitution of pays.
And then whatever they want to do with it, right? So then the CEO can use it
Right.
for
Mhm.
whatever they want or not.
They already have put some programs that are in there right now. So
Okay.
they're well on their way.
What kind of programs would we taking those over? Do you know?
There's I know that the DA is looking at a location there. I think they've talked to the city of Ventura about a portion of the site. So
So just reallocation of other
yes,
things. Okay.
it has a number of different sections and has 2 elevators. A significant meeting room for the public or for internal classroom space. So it has some good features.
And then MOU that's supposed to come in place is 100%.
It would cover the costs. Yes, 100%.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll second it. Kramer.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Roll call.
Vice Chair Matthew Johnston,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Kramer,
Yes.
Commissioner Sean Colvin, Commissioner Bruce Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Rich Wyatt,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark McCamish.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously 6-0.
All right, thank you very much. So the second part of that, Madeline, E was the approval and authorization. So the proposed lease amendment with Ventura County Protection. So any public comment on that?
No public comment.
Okay, commissioners,
No question.
there's no question. Do we have a motion?
So moved, McCamish. I'll second. Motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Matthew Johnston,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Kramer,
Yes.
Commissioner Sean Colvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Bruce Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Rich Wyack,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark McCamish.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously 6-0.
Madeline, thank you very much. It's a lot to navigate. I have personal experience with it. So I commend you for all the navigation of all the legal stuff that's involved with that. All right, next, we have, that's all the regular agenda items. Next, we have the director's report. Keith.
Chair, we have our next slide, or is that something I do? Directors. So I want to share with everybody that somebody on the commission has gone to great expense in coordination and negotiations and everything else to bring a flying piece of history to Oxnard Airport, a beautiful DC-3. I hear there might be some work on it, some other things. I don't know if anybody wants to share anything more on that, but we've been working hard over the last almost been here 4 years to really elevate the exposure to Oxnard Airport. A lot of things we've been doing, but things like this, bringing this aircraft, you all approved, except for Mr. Johnson. The recent lease with Axis Aviation, new FBO flight school at Oxnard Airport. He's doing great work there. And then bringing this flying piece of history, fabulous piece. And we expect, folks will come to the airport just to look at this. And I know there's some other ideas, but I want to share that with everybody. Don't know if there's anything more to add.
No, I will say, is appropriate. I think it's, I appreciate the support and we're looking forward to the opportunities that the Oxnard Airport brings. I've been on that airport for 20 plus years and there's a lot that's driven to Camarillo, rightly so. We've got a great CAF in Camarillo, but Oxnard, yes, the FBO opportunities there, but I think it needed something, I guess maybe larger than what's at the airport now. And an aircraft like this, I look forward to sharing with all of you the history. I mean, this is Carter. This was Georgia aircraft. There's a lot of history here. So as things develop, I think you're going to see a lot out of Oxnard and a lot of community engagement because of that aircraft. So thank you.
Thank you. You heard from me last meeting that our finance manager retired, Jamal, and I want to share our selection. Servando Briggs is here with us tonight. Welcome, Servando, taking over on the financial side. I'm happy to report we stole him from the harbor in the counties, so he knows at least the county system. So that's a good start. He knows boats. We're going to teach him airplanes. We'll get there. But thanks. Thank you, Servando, and look forward to the future. I wanted to share an update, advanced air mobility test range we've been working on. Again, we continue to work with the FAA to develop the test range. We're in the final stage. You've heard me talk as we've gone through these various stages. First was the area airspace manager for the United States. We've got through that team, and now we're at the final local air traffic folks and approach folks with the FAA. Casey and I got beat up with that team for an hour or two, and so we're looking to make some tweaks. But it's important to kind of show where we sit with all the congested airspace, particularly to the south of us, which is why it's very important for us and why we're in a great position to kind of open up this airspace. We're not in the congested LA airspace, which is very helpful. But we also sit between the Navy's two largest test ranges they have in the United States, with the Sea Test Range, Point Mugu, and then China Lake inland. So we kind of sit in between those two. and be the only civilian large test range in Southern California. So we're close and continue to work on that. At this point, I pushed my expectations to the end of the year to get through that lengthy process. We're 9 months into it, but it all goes to what we've been saying is the pain we go through in setting this up just makes it easier when folks come after and try to go through the process. So instead of taking a year to a year and a half to get through this, because we've established this criteria in review, it's in place. So when somebody new comes with an aircraft to do testing, that year and a half process should shrink down to 30 days or less. So that's kind of where we're headed. Again, we're hammering through that. Here's some 3D visuals of what it looks like. Again, at this point, we're asking for both airports to be covered. And then as you get closer to outside the Class Delta airspace, kind of grow up in altitude, 5,000 feet. All told, we're at about 300 square miles at this point, which is significant. So. Any thoughts, any questions? That's
What's
all I have.
on that test range, what's the expected use of it? I mean, when you take a look at, all this effort and all this work, I mean, how many companies are we looking to attract, or what's the expected?
So we're starting with AeroVironment is our partner in the first test case, who's in the county, who does a lot of testing. I think I've shared before. They're forced to go to Utah and Oregon with their teams to do all this testing. And they started with us with 5 aircraft that range from 50 pounds to 215 pounds. So it's remote, and and I won't go into the details of the various aircraft they have, but it's drone size, some of them fairly large. We would expect that there's 1 to 3, 1 to 5 operations on a given day that could happen simultaneously. But companies like AeroVironment have basically communicated that they would be out 5 days a week if they could.
Because I know the range out in kind of the Palmdale, Lancaster area is very,
Say that again?
there's a test area out there that they're testing a lot in, and we've had the opportunity to do chase and stuff out there. So they're
Right.
very active daily. There's fleets of aircraft that chase. So anyway, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question on that same line. Is that going to be a restricted area, a warning area?
No, it is not a restricted area. It's not a military facility. It is joint use. So it's see and avoid for those aircraft. So it's folks on the ground. It's either folks on the ground, see and avoid with a drone, or they're using a chase plane or a chase boat, something along those lines. But it is see and avoid aircraft to aircraft.
And is the environment, particularly the coastal fog, is that positive or a negative for their testing?
Well,
Right?
yeah, but they would prefer clear weather,
Got it.
which is California for the most part, but obviously we have periods of time that are not user friendly, which is nice because it's convenient if they're here in the area and they can abort in a day, not drive all the way to Oregon and go, now we're sitting around for a period of time or somewhere else.
Is there going to be a public information campaign that goes along with this? Because we saw this on the East Coast, that it was, if people see something and they don't know what it is, right?
You're reading our mind, 100%. There will be an advance campaign so the timing is we need FAA approval. Once we get FAA approval, then we're partnering with the University of Alaska Fairbanks, which is one of the 7 designated FAA test ranges, and we'll be, if you will, a satellite location. So when the FAA approves, then the University of Alaska Fairbanks sends out a team to our location to train our staff up on the procedures, the documentation, all of those things. So again, once approval happens, we have 30 to 90 days before we're operational. So we've got some time to get the message out for exactly what you're talking about. The stuff you saw on the East Coast, nighttime, we're looking at daytime operations, Monday through Friday. Those are the kinds of things we're looking to do. And it's not multiple aircraft. It might be, again, 1 to 3, not 40 that are operating at a given time.
Who will be controlling that airspace?
patrolling.
Controlling.
So it depends where it is. For the most part, Santa Barbara, again, depending where they're departing from. So it could be from air traffic folks in Class Delta airspace from Camarillo, then off to Oxnard, or just from Oxnard outside of that. And then it's typically out to Santa Barbara airspace after that. But it's outside of Class Delta, so again, it depends on the altitude and where they are and things like that.
Will it be broken up into like little working areas? So like, hey, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna be in like this section,
We're in that process, and if that helps them, then they may do that.
just for deconfliction.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think it's gonna be divided, at least the two airports would be divided, and then outside of that may just be one space, but they could come back for ease of them when we issue NOTAMs and things like that to help pilots and ATC understand who's operating where, to be determined. So that's the last piece, is kind of getting those folks that work that airspace, how best to help them do what they do.
Okay. Looks like our questions have come to an end, so we appreciate the report. Next, you'll notice, there's some reports for your reference, and then we have correspondence, and then commission comments. Are there any commission comments?
I just had a question on the, for example, the noise comment report. There are lists of number of comments and then total number of households. And so you have, for example, 288 comments from 5 households, or 365 from 3 households. Does that mean you've got 5 people making 288 complaints?
Essentially, yes. If you look at the part of the chart that also mentions the percentage of calls from the top 3 households, kind of correlates with that.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I would like to also ask that be considered for a future agenda item. And just as a little background here for the other commissioners, I mean, it's been several years that I've been on this commission, and when I first joined, it was floated that, should we give consideration to the purpose and reason for having both a aviation advisory and an authority, and I guess some work was done. I was relatively new, so kind of sat back and watched, but I've seen this commission change over the last few years, and I think maybe the sentiments might have changed too, for an agenda item to be considered to maybe disband this advisory. When you take a look at the opportunity for public comment, there's very rarely people in attendance. You look out here at the audience, there's nobody from the public here. There's a lot of duplicative efforts from staff to have to, give your nights, and the agendas are identical between the advisory and the authority. So I would ask that, you work with the chair to, consider this as an agenda item. And I would ask as part of that the staff maybe provide some research as to, what are the different agencies that the county has and how many authorities or advisories, and to the layers that they have kind of involved with their agencies, and kind of give us a pros and cons type of analysis, so that we might give consideration. I mean, I hate to put myself out of a job, but I see a lot of duplicative efforts in the government's time and efforts on this. So that's my comment. I hope that gives consideration. And with that, do I need to provide any more comment to that, or that's something that I can speak with the chair further about?
No, that's a starting point. we will probably have further discussions, make sure we're clear kind of on some of the background and where we're headed. And, but yes, I think it's clear enough. As you mentioned, it's been raised multiple times over the years. Again, for those that don't know, the AAC was the first entity, body that was created by the county when we only had one airport, Oxnard Airport. And then with the creation of Camarillo Airport, when it reverted back to us after the military's use, that's when first Camarillo Airport Authority was created, and then Oxnard decided they wanted one. So we had those two authorities, and nothing was really done specifically with the AAC. So
It just,
kinda-
there seems to be a lot of, this is the way it's been done, so let's keep doing it. And I just think with today's, the way the information flows today, the technologies, the access to be able to comment, the authority has, Board of Supervisors actually present on it. And there's always that opportunity there and at the Board of Supervisors meetings to have public comment. I think there's plenty of opportunity, but anyway, I'll digress until, I digress. So until that agenda item's raised, we can talk about that more, but thank you for that.
Okay.
All right. With that, do we have adjournment? Motion to adjourn?
Kramer, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Second?
Second, McCamish.
All right, adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.